What's up, Niners faithful? Time to get excited. We are getting into the heart of the offseason, free agency, draft talk, everything that's going to set up this 2021. I don't want to call it revenge tour. We called last year the revenge tour, and that didn't work out too well for us. So let's just call it the 2021 season. Let's just get into it. We don't need a fancy name. We just need to stay healthy. Stay healthy for once. And I think we can keep our quarterback healthy with the two big signings we had today. Trent Williams, 6 years, $138 million, give or take, about 10,000 more than David Bakhtiari, which, as they had a nice little Twitter exchange, a little petty, but I appreciate it. And then Alex Mack, a former All-Pro center himself, coming onto the Bay. Jose, how are you feeling about these two signings, man?
I like both of them. Obviously, the big one, Trent Williams there. You're shoring up your left tackle position, a position where we actually produced a first team All-Pro this past season. Out of all the things that could have gone wrong, that went right. So I think that one was huge. I think every Niner fan is absolutely excited to see Trent Williams back there, especially when if he stays healthy, he'll be able to help Jimmy Garoppolo and return stay healthy. But you mentioned the second part, which is also very, very huge for this offensive line and for the offense in general. Alex Mack, the Alex Mack signing from Atlanta. He has a Kyle Shanahan tie from his time in working with Atlanta and Matt Ryan. They're in that Super Bowl run. So you're bringing in a guy who, one, is one of the best at his position, and two, didn't cost a lot of money, which is also really, really good for the team. And so I'm excited. I'm excited that we're reassuring probably one of the two really important positions this offseason that we really need to hit on. The fact that we're hitting on the offensive line this early into the offseason is great news. It's really good to see. And it's good to see John Lynch, Kyle Shanahan, and everybody else in the front office knowing what this team needs to improve on and knowing where the personnel changes need to be. Offensive line is one of them. And they knocked it so far so good when it comes to offensive line acquisitions, to re-signing Trent Williams. It's looking really good. The start of this offseason, the end of the technically the beginning of the new NFL year. So far, so good.
Yeah, you have to think the Niners haven't really had a starting level center since the Saints game of 2019 when Weston Richburg originally went down. And thank you to Weston Richburg, too, for renegotiating his contract to ease up some of that salary cap hit to allow the Niners to go out there and make some of these moves. Because obviously he knows that his career is coming to an end. Obviously, he's talking about retirement right now. My biggest hope when you do acquire like Alex Mack, because I still have my questions at the guard position. Laken Tomlinson's good enough, but we're talking about Daniel Brunskill there. Yes, we know he's had success against Aaron Donald, but he hasn't had much success against anyone else. At that right tackle spot, Mike McGlinchey. My only hope there with Mike is it is a contract year for him. The Niners are in this spot, too, where they're deciding, do we even want to pick up his fifth-year option? And that's not a great position to be with a guy you drafted in the top 7 just a few years ago. But I think that it's going to have a positive effect having these two veterans signed and locked up. I think Trent Williams, too, can even be better than he was last year, because you have to figure he took a year off of football. That's never easy for a player to do. So being that he can be back in the minutia of the game for back-to-back seasons, I feel can only keep him in that right mental state to be able to compete at the highest of levels. And even if you look at his PFF stats, he still was one of the highest graded left tackles in the game as well. You mentioned prior to hitting record here, some people have thrown out the narrative is Trent Williams overpaid. I don't think so. 6 years, $138 million on paper, but at the same time, only $50 million of it is really guaranteed. I wouldn't be surprised if you told me this is more like a 2-3 year deal than a full 6-year contract based off the way NFL contracts work. And that could be for two things. That could be either one, Trent Williams outplays his contract and feels like he wants to renegotiate here in a couple of years, or if he is getting older and is starting to diminish, the Niners could eventually cut bait. So I don't buy fully into that number, but I do like that the Niners made that attempt to put him out there as the highest paid offensive lineman in the game.
Right. And I think the number that's really scaring a lot of Niner fans and a lot of people on Niners Twitter is that 6 years, right? Trent Williams, 32 years old. If he would theoretically play through that contract that he just signed, he would be 38 years old. I don't think you want your starting left tackle to be 37, 38 years old. I think both parties here signed this contract knowing that it was realistically going to be 2 to 3 years. And then after that, they'll reevaluate to see if Trent Williams is still playing at an all pro level, or if the Niners just have to back off of this contract, maybe even trade him away to another team that's going to be really desperate at the time. But only time will tell. But for now, the fact that he is going to be a Niner for the next couple, for guaranteed for the next couple of years, I think that's really the big picture here. And I think that's something positive to look forward to, especially starting the offseason this strong. But now it's all about keeping everybody healthy, right? We've mentioned that. And this offensive line is going to be the key to the rest of the season. If this offensive line, now including Alex Mack, could stay healthy, the team should have no problem getting back to kind of what they were 2 seasons ago.
Well, we mentioned it during our Super Bowl review. The interior offensive line was just getting eaten up. So Alex Mack, I'm really happy about that signing. He was on my free agent wish list heading in. I just thought he was unattainable given, again, he is a former All-Pro, and typically those guys demand a higher contract. At 36 years old, the fact that he gave the Niners a little bit of a deal, a little bit of a sweetheart deal to go out there and still acquire more assets. Love that. Hopefully the Niners can continue that in the draft. But anyway, Niners faithful, let me know what you think about these 2 signings in the comments below. We're excited. We hope you're excited too. Leave a like on this video, and of course, hit that subscribe button, because we're going to be talking more Niners football going on, free agency, the draft, and of course, the season when we get into it. Other than that, guys, you stay safe, happy, and healthy. We'll see you next time.